Welcome and thank you for listening to this edition of the On Farm podcast in association with the Royal Highland and Agricultural Society of Scotland. I'm Anna Davis. Straight off the bat, a bit of housekeeping. We normally publish episodes on a Monday, but we're putting this one out today on Thursday the 18th of June 2020 because today should have been the start of the Royal Highland Show. We know many of you will be feeling a bit lost today. I know I certainly am, but hopefully we can help you get in the Highland Show spirit, even if we can't be there in person. Most of this episode is taken up with a wide-ranging chat between Highland Society Chief Executive Alan Laidlaw and Cabinet Secretary for the Rural Economy and Tourism, Fergus Ewing MSP.
I'm very proud of the fact that farmers have risen to the occasion. You know, I don't know that the cattle or the sheep know that we're in the middle of a pandemic. They'll keep producing milk, they keep needing to be fed.
There'll be lots to get our teeth into in that. First, though, we're taking a look back at everything so far in the Royal Highland Society podcasts. If you've not yet had a chance to listen to the 6 episodes leading up to this one, maybe this will whet your appetite.
Reality then really struck home at that point.
We started by asking RHASS's Alan Laidlaw, and in this clip, Chairman Bill Gray, to tell us how it felt making the monumental decision to cancel this year's show.
From an emotion point of view, I actually have a vivid memory of sort of saying, right, well, I'm sorry, but, you know, that is the decision. And I just suddenly thought, wow. We in the boardroom, the 4 of us, just looked at each other and we didn't say much for a couple of minutes, really, realistically.
Episode 2, Meet Me in the Usual Place, was all about the vital social connection of rural shows. We heard how the show sparks and rekindles valuable friendships and how staying connected is vital for all of our mental health. Also, how many people do you know who got romantically involved with someone they met at the Highland? Janie and Andrew did.
We had a few drinks.
Probably fair to say.
Yeah.
And we had a really good chat that night. And yeah, sort of after that we started to see a bit more of each other.
You started texting me. And do you remember what I asked you?
What did you ask?
Said, how many acres do you have?
Oh yeah, probably.
Many people will miss the RET tent this year. Episode 3 was all about how their food education work has gone online to help homeschooling.
My name is Alison Bankier and I am a home economics teacher in East Kilbride. I've even got some kids who don't know the seasons, who can't name me the 4 seasons. And then even in the senior phase, across practical cookery and in health and food technology, to be able to teach that, we need RET. We couldn't probably do it without RET, and then all the links that they've got to other food education partners.
Episode 4 was called Taking Care of Business. We heard from some familiar names about the trade and deal making at the show and how business and pleasure can definitely mix. It makes those 4 summer days at Ingliston worth £65 million to the Scottish economy.
Day 1 of the Watson Seeds business for me was the Highland Show. So those 4 days in 1990, 30 years ago, were very, very key for me. You know, I rattled round and spoke to a good 200 clients, potentially.
I sometimes really struggle with the fine line that is business and pleasure. It's so much fun. My name is Robert Taylor. I'm a partner with Galbraith Property Land Agents. We do have hospitality on our stand. It can turn into a few old hoorie-alley, as they say in Gaelic. I think it's just a great thing. We can offer people a glass of something cold and a light refreshment. And if people want to come and speak to us, as I said, in months or years to come after that, then that's what we do.
Number 5 took us inside the food tent to look at how competitions and exhibitions at rural shows drive up food standards and benefit all of us as consumers. We heard from a range of top producers, including the Buffalo Farm's Steve Mitchell.
You know, if you've got a good product, the buyers will suss you out, and it's a great platform for that, you know.
Yeah, for them to find you.
For them to find you or become aware of you, and then you're on their radar. So
absolutely. And in our most recent episode, the one just below this one in your podcast feed, we looked at what non-rural audiences get out of the show. What brings almost 250,000 people back year after year?
It's so varied. Chainsaw artistry, followed on by mountain bike stunts, and then go and grab a burger and listen to a ceilidh band.
We can drive through lots of fields and see lots of cows and say that we understand the agriculture of Scotland, but I think the only opportunity I've really got to learn anything about it is at the Royal Highland Show.
We also get to face a bit of the reality of food a little. You hunt for food, if animals need to be deceased. It's good to face that, and it's a really good place to do it in a sensible and mature way.
In future episodes, we're going to meet with some of the show's award winners, hear about the history and heritage of the show, and find out how the Highland Society spends its money supporting various aspects of the rural economy and rural life. If you don't already, please subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We also really need you to bang the drum for us and support us. Tell people around you that the On Farm podcast is here to tell the brilliant stories of rural Scotland. Especially tell people who might not know about podcasts or think they're for them. On Farm is always going to be free to listen to, and it's always going to be packed with stories and voices from rural Scotland. We're very much on your side, but we need your support simply through listening and sharing episodes to keep going. Here we go then. Earlier this week, we connected via video call with Alan Laidlaw, Chief Executive of RHASS, and Cabinet Secretary for Rural Economy and Tourism, Fergus Ewing MSP. It's a great, wide-ranging chat covering lots of important rural issues. Alan will take it from here.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, Cab Secretary. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks, Alan. Yourself?
Good, I'm well, yeah. We would normally be welcoming you on the steps of Ingliston House, and you'd have a schedule as long as your arm of a places you needed to be, but slightly different circumstances this year. You're a regular visitor at the Highland Show and other shows, and I suppose it would be interesting to hear what you think the whole of the cancellation of these events is this year, and what that whole means to the community.
Well, you're absolutely right. I would be attending the Royal Highland Show. Obviously, it's the premier event in the agricultural calendar. And normally, Alan, I would attend on the Thursday and Friday. That gets me out of parliamentary duty. So, I like getting out and about. And I do very much enjoy it. Although, as you say, the slight frustration is I never quite get enough time to spend in the food hall, for example, because, there's just so many things that you would like to stop off and maybe do a wee bit of shopping for the family at home. But there usually with the schedule isn't the time because, I'm going from one speaking engagement to another, usually about 10 or 12 events each day. But the really sad thing, I think, is that it's really the fulcrum of rural life in Scotland. It's greatly enjoyed by tens of thousands of people of all walks of life, and it really is sad that it won't be happening this year. But we'll be back. You'll be back next year, I'm quite sure. I hope I'll be back as well.
Yeah, of course. Your comments there are kind, and I think most people who've got busy schedules always feel that there's something round the corner at the show that they can't quite get to. It's you're very hands-on. You like to engage with your constituents of interest and of your constituency. What does the Highland Show and other events like that give you as a chance to engage at that one-to-one level?
Well, it's a tremendous opportunity to catch up with people, and quite often I do arrange to meet specific groups, specific individuals at the Highland Show because everybody is there. And everyone's in a good mood in the Highland Shows. Usually the sun is out, everybody is looking cheerful. And, farmers don't smile all the time, even when they get their payments on time from us. There's not always smiling faces as I sit watching the assorted ranks of the NFU AGM in February. Even although we paid 18,674 from memory on time in October, actually 2 months earlier than the rest of the UK. I actually only got 3 thank you letters. Would you credit that, Alan?
I don't know if I might say that I'm surprised you got 3 sometimes, because I think farming community are sometimes slow to make their feelings known, and I think that's one of the things we've been talking about in some of the episodes of the podcast about that social connection and that opportunity, as you say, for people to be in a good mood and to be hopefully relatively relaxed. And it's quite often a different type of conversation that you have at a show as you would at a desk or something else. Do you find that, do you think?
Yes, I do. I think people are by and large in a very cheerful mood. Many people will come down from the Highlands and maybe make a few days of it, and rightly so. And of course, also as well as the loss of the Highland Show, I mean, shows all over Scotland are not taking place this year. And for most of the last 3 decades, myself and my family go to the Nairn Show, the Granton Show, the Moy Game Fair, Nettie Games, the Inverness Games. Most years of the last 30 years, I've attended these events. And apart from being enjoyable, you attend because it is a chance to meet people locally. So all over the country, that experience for the rural segment of Scotland, the rural communities to meet each other is lost. That's a very sad thing. I expect that when we emerge from lockdown, that, impromptu arrangements will be made and, informal gatherings of various types will take place, hopefully observing social distancing and so on. But you can't make up for the real McCoy. So the loss of that particularly sort of bonhomie that characterises the Highland Show is a sad thing. Not only that, but it's an opportunity for many people to catch up with the latest in technology, the latest in innovation, to hear quite distinguished speakers at, for example, Ingliston House. It's an opportunity to do business for many, many farmers. So all these different interlocking parts of what people get out of the show will this year sadly not be available to us.
No, that's right. And I think, it comes at a time when a lot of farmers have been in isolation through calving and lambing and sowing and planting and things in different pressures. And we always talk about the Royal Highland Show being a great coming together after that busy spell. I'd be interested to hear your views, Cabinet Secretary, on the farming and rural community response to COVID and how they've responded to what's happened and how they've, developed and changed tacts. Because as we know, farmers are entrepreneurial and resilient individuals and they can make changes quite quickly. And you've probably seen quite a lot of that in your hot seat.
Well, I think the farming community of Scotland have really risen to the occasion. Farming is carried on throughout. I don't know that the cattle or the sheep know that we're in the middle of a pandemic. They'll keep producing milk. They keep needing to be fed and looked after. So farming has continued. I think what's not been immediately obvious has been that although farming has continued, there's been perhaps less assistance, less labour. I've spoken to many farmers who have done more of the physical side of farming themselves than perhaps in previous years, and one or two that have added several inches to their hair length, but on the other hand, lost a few inches around the waist through more frequent manual work. I'm very proud of the fact that farmers have risen to the occasion. I'm also proud of the fact that the RPID offices have done us proud. I haven't announced this year's payment performance and meeting the target, but let's just say that I'll have a smiley face when I make the announcement. I think that the people in the RPID offices have really done us proud. And the interesting thing there, Alan, is, and this is maybe something that we'll look to learn from the future, is that most of the 600 people that work in RPID have been working from home, but they've managed to maintain and perhaps improve their record this year, despite working from home. And I think more people are thinking, well, we can do more things from home than we realised. If we have, and once we get improved digital connection, ultra-fast or super-fast broadband, then I think post-COVID we will see people working, for Microsoft or Twitter or the Royal Bank of Scotland or BT, being able to live anywhere. And that, I think, could be an extraordinary boost to the rural economy, particularly if, as I hope, we can see post-COVID being able to do more things in the countryside with a looser planning system so that farmers and crofters are freed up to do more with the land they've got, with permitted development rights, for example, for housing. And if one of the impacts of COVID is more home working, more use of digital, less spending time in a tin can on the M8 or wherever, more time spent at home, more time with the family, more flexibility, all these things actually will, if you think about it, mean that there will be a boost to the popularity of life in rural Scotland, because in many, many ways, you can have a better quality of life in so many parts of rural Scotland than in some areas in our cities. So I think COVID might actually lead to some longer-term changes. But getting back to your question, farmers have done a terrific job. They've kept the food on the table. They've reminded us of the importance of food and producing food here and the risks of global food security and the fragility of imports All of these things are